Hello, everyone. Very good evening to all of you here, and welcome to my show. It's a new YouTube series called Depression to Expression. So, here, this is Priyankini, your confidence coach and an author. So, a little bit about myself. So, I am Priyankini, mother of two beautiful daughters, wife of a super supportive husband, a confidence coach and an author. So, a little bit about my journey. So, 6 years into public speaking, turned a confidence coach and an author. Yes, I am the author of a book called Speak Out. So now I work in the field of mental health. So I help people specifically who are into depression. So here I am with my new series called Depression to Expression. So this series is all about inviting people who have already gone through depression, who have already felt it, who have been there in that phase in their life. I myself have gone through depression at some point of time. When my younger one was born, I went into postnatal depression. So I thought to spread awareness among people, to get inspired from my guests who have already gone through this. So yes, we do have, this is my episode 1 of Depression to Expression. All of you are welcome to this show, and today we have a very special guest, and her name is Ankita Singh from Bihar. So she is a conscious living strategist. She calls herself a conscious living strategist, and she helps people to have a good health, have a good lifestyle by working on their food habits. Right. So what she does is she empowers people to have an improved health, as the term suggests, conscious health. Conscious health meaning, she helps people to connect with their body and choose the correct food according to their system, according to their lifestyle. Right. So that's what she does. And she also has a 90-day program called Conscious Health Accelerator. That's a brilliant program which she has started off with. And if you are interested, you can join her in that. So if you want a better lifestyle, a better health, and if you want to consciously choose your food, please, don't forget to connect with her. So welcome, Ankita, to my show. You are my first guest, so I'm really honored to have you here. And thank you for coming.
So honored. Thank you, Priyankini. That was such a wonderful introduction. Thank you. I'm so honored and pleased to be here. And congratulations to your first episode.
Thank you. So we will start directly with the questions. So Ankita, okay, first a little bit about yourself. Like I introduced you, but I actually want a formal introduction from your side as well.
Sure. So I am from Saharsa, Bihar. It's a small village at the Nepal border, very close to Nepal border. And so I have a big joint family. So I like to introduce myself. I'm part of family of 15 and an eldest sister to 8 coolest sibling, a network engineer turned outdoor experiential educator, and now a conscious living strategist, where I help people, work on their lifestyle. Basically, we all have a lifestyle, but we are all, kind of scared of what is happening around the world. We are so much afraid of, having any small diseases for that matter. So how we can improve our health by changing our food habits, and that too, again, by not controlling, by not pushing or forcing ourselves to do that, but accepting things very normally, with very much of ease, and transforming ourselves to a better health, better lifestyle.
Great, great. That sounds really awesome. So, okay, Ankita. So my first question is, so please talk about your journey, when you went through depression and why you, I mean, a little bit detail on as to what was the reason why you went into depression and how you overcame that.
Sure. So I didn't first knew that I was depressed. Basically, when you are going through a bad time, you actually don't call yourself like you are depressed or you are suffering from a mental health like everybody does. Like first, in those times, I wasn't actually aware that there is such things. And second, like even though you think that you are having a problem, you don't want to express it out, such that with the fear that what will people say about you, right? So It was year 2011, December, I guess. That's how it all started with the January 2012. I was like, in the state where I was feeling okay, and then all of a sudden, very sad, very lost in my own world, and very much disconnected with the outer world. There was like loss of interest in everything. Because I call myself super adventurous, and none of the challenges would excite me at that point of time. And it was like pretty much horrible. And if I recall correctly, it went for like quite a long time. It was like 1.5 years to 2 years. So generally the reason was like the relationship, and all it started like where I feel that I didn't give myself uh, the better part of myself, and I hurt the person, and that's how the whole thing, badly turned out. And there was like a time where I thought that if I continue to be like this, to continue to be bad to the person, it would just turn ugliest. So let me just end it. And so that was like the best decision from my end. But then it was the mutual decision. So yeah, the other person was like quite upset about the fact, but then things ended. And we tried to stay good friends, but that doesn't happen when you are in the long distance. So that all happened, and it wasn't uh, you know noticeable for me that I actually have lost something from my life. It was like when you are having your own life, you are running through looking for a job. I was just passed out of my engineering. You're looking for a job, looking for different courses, diplomas, such that you get a good placement or something. So I was like all into it. And once I got placed, there was like everything was settled. There was a time like where I felt like now there's this part of me which is missing, you know, and all this story came on, pouring, or I would say piled up one after the other. And I realized that I made a huge mistake. And I was angry about the fact, and I was also deep diving into deep sea of guilt. That was the whole thing. And that guilt was, causing me pretty much, it was like this feeling of, I'm not good enough. Like I can't make good things. Even if I am here, my life is not good enough, or I'm not worthy of life. So all these things were there, and I was like completely pissed off at one point of my own existence. Like, why am I here? And all these things like continue to be there for a while. I remember I used to be quite alone. So I almost enjoyed my own company, but that was the period I used to be like so sad. It was like a persistent sadness and loss of interest. And that was like never ending. I used to go to office because I had to, because I had a job. I had to earn for myself. Otherwise, if I had to just sit like that, I would just sit like that for, I don't know, for how many days or how many hours. Used to have sleepless night when the weekends, when the day turned to night, I didn't had any idea. There were like days where I used to feel like, walking on the sidelines of the road, like the pathway that you have, the footpath, and just coming in front of any moving vehicle. But those thoughts were like pretty much frequent. Like I just don't want this life. I just don't want to exist. And that was like I can't talk about it. That's the harsh part of it. Like you actually can't express like what you're feeling.
I
A,
understand.
you feel that if you talk to it, people won't understand. And even if the people understand, they will, you know, don't stay longer, because it's like never ending process for you, and people can't listen to the same story again and again every single day or every single hour, right? And then you don't want sympathy or pityness of the people, right? And so I was just being alone, isolated myself. So that was the whole journey of, being sad, being depressed, uh, yeah, being away from the what the world is, and being away from my own self in that matter of fact.
I really agree to you on this that people do not understand. So at first place, the when you talked about empathy or sympathy, when it is a physical disability, it is pretty much visible, right? We empathize or we sympathize very quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, he's physically disabled, right? But when it comes to any mental, I'm not saying disability or any mental issues, right? People do not empathize easily, right? Once they go through that process, they will not understand your pain, what you are going through. That is pretty much, what I have seen in an Indian society. Specifically, if somebody is having mental illness, he or she is treated as like natak hai, right? So I understand that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Ankita. So, yes. So my second question would be, definitely you included the challenges as well, but still, I would love you to highlight the biggest challenge during this phase. What was the biggest challenge which you faced, and what I mean, which was that point where you decided that enough is enough? This is like crossing the peak, and you started which was that point when you started reconnecting with yourself?
uh, so there are like two things that happens. There's like negative talks with yourself, like all the time, like you are not good enough, the life is not good enough, your existence is not good enough. So all that just diminishes your self value. And that's what I realized pretty much over a period of time. And the one thing that pulled me out was the survival, you know, that I have to survive, because I had this whole thing to explore, because I like traveling. And that time, I guess the movie was released, Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, I guess, yeah. And so it wasn't that that movie inspired me to come out of the situation, but there was like all these adventures, all these adrenaline rush, and you are like super pumped that there is so much to life. And that I missed over these period of time. And I was like, okay, I have to survive, I have to enjoy that moment. So one thing that happened was like I tried to distract myself from all those things that was happening. And that was like the biggest mistake that I did, that I didn't process it. So, and it continued. And I guess it was recently in the year 2018, 2019 that I actually fully overcome that sadness or the depression part of it. So yeah, the biggest challenge was like not knowing like what you have to do. So I guess, sometimes distraction help, but if you don't process your whole depression or your whole sadness in a proper way, it just stays with you at some part of your body, and you continue to go there and you continue to feel sad. So yeah, I guess the more awareness about that, it is natural, it can happen to anyone. It's not like if a person is super happy, super adventurous, that they cannot face this kind of things. It is pretty much natural and can happen to anyone, and it should be acceptable. Many people are in denial that it can't happen to them. So I guess my challenges were like there wasn't any source just next to me, or a person who is very close to me, who has all this kind of stuff or known to this stuff and could just help me out or could just hear me out. Because yeah, I was definitely not going to the specialist or to the medical person, but then just being in that state, being aware of who you are, what you're going through, and what exactly you are thinking. Is it actually true? To what extent, and how much is it hurting you? So I guess not enough information was the biggest hurdle for me.
Okay, okay. That was a great inspiration, Ankita, that without, going to any mental health practitioner or any, professional person, you dealt it yourself just by just realizing and getting aware of that. Though the things prolonged because you try to distract yourself. So there's a very thin line between, distraction and resistance, right? When you distract yourself to not to be in depression, that is one thing, and you're resisting that. When you resist something, it comes over you more, right?
Right.
So it took time, but then you managed to come out of it, but by just realizing it and through self-awareness. So that's a big thing, for people to understand. And you have shared a lot of things to which maybe people who are into depression will be able to relate to. And one more challenge which I see nowadays among people is, when sometimes you get stressed. That has happened to me. Like, it's a normal thing to get worried for something or get stressed for a prolonged time. When you get stuck with too many thoughts, you feel that, oh my God, I'm into depression, right? So I think your
Yeah.
conversation would give a lot of clarity as to what are the symptoms actually, you feel you go through when you're actually into depression. So there's a lot of difference between normal worry and depression. Right? Thank you so much.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to say something? Yes.
Yeah. So basically, when you talk about depression, it's something like what you talk about chronic pain, which is like a for a very, very long time, and you are not knowing when it's just going to end, right? And for a worry, it's like you have all those things. Maybe you're not following a particular plan or a particular plan of action. So try to have all those, like if the action plan is working and you are out of those worry or those anxiety, good, well and enough. But if something that is stick with you, if some feeling has not yet processed and that has stuck with you and you are feeling sad, just you know going over there in a loop, and you can't feel that you can ever get out of the loop, and it's just like every single day. It's like that movie, I forgot the name of the movie, Groundhog Day, I guess that's the movie name. Yeah, it's like every day, every morning is like the same morning. So that's what happens when you are
So
completely
there were times when I was into depression. There were times when I used to go completely blank. When somebody is saying something, I don't care. I don't think somebody's laughing. It doesn't make sense to me. So I just be like be like a statue. Like nothing matters to me. Completely. If somebody tells me let's go out for a walk, I don't respond. So, it's completely blank.
that's how low our self-value is in those times. Like you have talked out so much of negativity to yourself, like you actually can't respond to anything, and that's like pretty much it. uh, that day and hour passes by and you feel like, okay, when did that happen? I didn't remember. So yeah.
Yeah. So my next question would be, tell me, Ankita, tell me one thing which a person in depression must do, and one thing what he or she should not do.
Right. Based on my experience, that a person should do and must do is like express yourself more and more. The more you express to the outer world, the more easier or lighter you will feel inside. Even though you talk negative to yourself, just express it to the person in front of you. And yeah, so even if you feel like there's not a community or there's not a friend circle that you can talk about it, find a circle, because nowadays everything is online and every person is going through some challenges or thing. Find your own interest group and go and express yourself out there, or take help of a medical practitioner where you get to express a lot more about yourself and person is able to hear you non-judgmentally and accept you that way.
Okay. This is should do.
Yeah.
So should not do.
one must not do things as like just the complete opposite of it. Don't isolate yourself. Yeah. And when you are, just being alone to yourself, there's like you just are degrading your self value more and more. So all we are trying to do is like increase our own self value, see our own self worth, and that won't happen if you just be isolated, be in your own thoughts. So yeah, going out there, trying different things. I'm not saying you have to distract yourself, but do things that you enjoy. I'm not saying force yourself into it, but just give it a try.
Great. That was a pretty wow answer. And yeah, that was a good one. Pretty impressive. So the question would be, what is your message to the people who are into depression, and especially the people who are around them?
Yeah, so as I said, that you have to acknowledge and accept that fact that it can happen to you, and it's not what you say, छुआछूत की बीमारी नहीं है कि आपको लग गई तो आपको कोई और छू नहीं सकता. So it's like accept that fact that it happened to you, and don't say that okay, I should not be feeling this way, or I should not be talking myself that way. That's completely natural, because as you go through certain things, all those things will follow. It's not like you will leave some certain things and you will just be at one place. So just accept who you are in that moment. That's completely fine, because when we talk about somebody else accepting us non-judgmentally, we have to accept ourselves non-judgmentally too. So that's what you have to do at the first thing, that accept yourself non-judgmentally.
Okay, very nice. So that's the first thing for, I think, not only people having mental illness, but for everybody, right? It's very important to accept yourself as you are, if you want the world to accept you.
Yes.
So, to the people who are around, the people who are depressed, like, what is your message to them?
For them, it's like when you talk about you are not just the person in the world, you are a social animal. Make yourself social, right? And that's where your uh, test comes into the picture. Like, how social are you? Like, are you actually willing to extend all your effort, all your love, all your compassion to the person in front of you who is suffering any kind of issues, be it mental, be it physical, be it emotional? So are you there for them?
Great.
And if you can't, how can you actually be there for them? Because you want someone to be next to you, to be beside you, right? So how you can be for someone else?
Yes, so it's always a give and take relationship, right?
That's the question you have to ask.
You want somebody, you have to, spread it across first. So that was again a very good answer. Thank you so much, Ankita. So this is the end of the show, and thank you so much for your time. It has been a beautiful conversation with you, and I am very sure that the people who are looking at this, they will be inspired, and they will get a lot of answers to their questions. Thank you so
Thank you.
much, Ankita, for coming, and thank you so much for your valuable time.
Thank you. Thank you.